Because of the war started by Russia, more than 10,000 Ukrainians have gone through amputation and lost their limbs. Ukraine's partners are ready to help with the rehabilitation of Ukrainian soldiers and civilians. But for one person, especially with an injury, the procedure remains complicated. You're listening to the Solutions from Ukraine podcast, which is brought to you by Rubryka. My name is Vladyslav Faraponov. I'm the co-host of this podcast. And before we get started, let me remind you that you can support us at patreon.com/Rubryka. By becoming a member, you can get exclusive access to add your questions to us to address in the podcast, and of course to get some of our exclusive merch to show off your support for solution journalism in Ukraine. And let me also present my co-host Anastasia Rudenko, who is Rubryka's editor-in-chief. Hello, Nastya.
Hello, Vlad, and hello to everyone listening to us. Yes, this topic is really crucial for Ukrainians because of there are a lot of, especially mine explosive injuries and wounded people. And for our soldiers, we see them every day on the street and elsewhere.
Indeed, but this time we will not present the issue too much in detail because every soldier is at risk of being wounded and every civilian in Ukraine too. So today we'll talk about the solutions through the problems lens.
But at the same time, we will present cases which are being implemented in Ukraine right now by NGO plus authorities and because of a lot of indifferent people. We will report about Gennady Butkevich BGV charity fund, which sends Ukrainian soldiers and amputees to Estonia for prosthetic. Estonia is the first country which provided this needed procedures for free.
Yeah, and Rubryka found out how the rehabilitation process occurs after the prosthetics are made and how the BGV, for example, foundation helps with this, and also we'll cover the project in Lviv, which is called Unbroken, a solution that changes the approach to prosthetics and the rehabilitation in Ukraine at all. And let me start with the latter one. With the beginning of the full-scale invasion, Lviv, Ukraine's largest city in western Ukraine, became Ukraine's humanitarian and also medical hub. It hosted or transferred a lot of people, approximately we can recall it's around 5 million people. It is a lot. And we understand that many people have gone abroad, like if we speak about this number, but probably for now, like even at least half of them are back in Ukraine. So many wounded soldiers and civilians were also brought there, like from the first days of the full-scale war, because back then it was not clear which regions are safer. And for example, the Lviv region is like one of the closest to Ukraine's borders, and like it was easier at least to go abroad if needed. So the city of Lviv actually provided housing, food, and clothing for thousands of displaced people as well, and also the city had to provide medical assistance for those who survived with severe injuries again from shelling, and unfortunately also to those who had to go through amputations.
And we have to mention that before the full-scale invasion, prosthetics were not created at hospitals at all, but at private workshops that provided rehabilitation services. And, the limb was amputated in one place, the prosthetics was made in another, and psychological support had to be sought elsewhere. So that's why the need for one-stop place where all these three components will be brought together was really in huge demand, and it has been growing daily in recent months from scratch.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, not so many media are talking about it, but it was and it is a problem. And in our view, there is no sense in denying it. Okay, Nasa, so basically, what's the solution itself?
The First Medical Association of Lviv is a network that includes 3 hospitals, a polyclinic, and a rehabilitation center in the suburbs. Today, the Unbroken Center, in Ukrainian it is Nezlamny, operates on the basis of this big medical association. And I have seen it firsthand in Lviv just recently. I was really impressed how quickly they managed to build the entire system from zero, from scratch. And the center was opened in April, less than a month ago. They did not have such experience before. And now there are 7 floors for rehabilitation with improvised apartments and even a store that the patient can prepare as much as possible for new living conditions after getting their new limb. The center specializes in reconstructive surgery, orthopedics, and the main important thing is psychological support of patient. They told me that maybe it is very important because the patient should be mentally prepared for life in new conditions.
So it means when a patient enters the center, several specialists actually work with them at once, right? And looking into their problems, each from their own point of view in terms of medical specialization, right?
Yes, if the patient's condition is not critical, surgeons can consult with the prosthetics before amputation to determine which degree of amputation will be optimal for later prosthetics and faster rehabilitation.
Okay, so do only Ukrainian doctors and specialists actually work there?
No, they started inviting foreign specialists to us for studying, for learning the process, and the whole world responded. Specialists from the USA, Britain, Canada, and other countries came to Ukraine, and Ukrainian specialists who travel abroad for training also joined.
Also, basically, what we learned is that traveling abroad in this case is not always a guarantee that a patient will immediately have the best possible actually prosthetic, because it is a long-term process. And for example, when Rubryka visited a place, our correspondent was told the story about a military man who had recently returned from Germany, and he was told to wait at least for 6 months to get what he needed. So, for example, bionic hand prosthetics can take 6 months or even a year, depending on the situation, in addition to, of course, their need for future rehabilitation. So, to have the opportunity, at least for patients, to get a high-quality prosthetic and also to undergo rehabilitation in Ukraine is an urgent task for the entire industry today, and also we can say for the whole country and the society, because again, as we mentioned at the beginning, we see our soldiers everywhere, in the shop, on the street, on the weekends, just in parks and others. And of course, there are a lot of people who at least have been wounded or who are at daily risk of being injured. Again, not to mention all the civilians.
Yes, but there are some practical issues as well. For example, there are also cases when the amputation has been done in such a way that it is impossible to place a prosthetics. In those cases, reamputation may be necessary. This is a consequence of the fact that prosthetics workshops and surgery are separated in Ukraine. They even belong to different ministries. Hospitals report to the Ministry of Health and prosthetics to the Ministry of Social Policy.
Yeah, so like this story is really just really modern, and you can find the link in the description about the Unbroken Center. But there are other cases as well. Like, for example, there is an initiative called Neopalimi. It can be translated as those who cannot be burned. It is a movement and organization, in fact, which operates in the field of aesthetic medicine that aims to help as many Ukrainians as possible who have suffered burns or scars as a result of military operations. Actually, like those volunteers who have started the project, they attract clinics that will be able to provide the patient with a full course of treatment. So, like they basically they take all the responsibility for like ensuring that it is possible at least, and also those volunteers, they provide these clinics with medicine and technical and material needs. So in reality, such a course is completely free for the victims, and we also post the link in the description. But it is really a fascinating story. Like it is so simple and everyone understands that, but it is like another example of heroism and creativity, and how people are adapting to this situation. We, for example, we have recorded like our previous episode about the normality in Ukraine, and this is also about normality. Like there are initiatives that are operating in this field, and of course it also requires like a lot of bravery and a lot of self-organization, and we have to report about these cases as well.
Yes, there are more than we have just talked about. Another case involves Ukraine's company cooperation with foreign countries. Ukrainian charity fund BGV and the government of Estonia launched a joint program for free prosthetics and rehabilitation of Ukrainians who lost their limbs due to hostilities in Ukraine. The prosthetics of Ukrainians, primarily military, are carried out in Tallinn at one of Estonia's most modern hospitals, East Tallinn Central Hospital. And the medical institution is one of the largest in the country, including 7 clinics staffed by more than 2,050 employees. So it works the following way. The Estonian government takes care of operational and technical staff, but a Ukrainian company pays for it. By the end of the year, the cooperation partners plan to organize prosthetics for 20 Ukrainian military and civilians who lost limbs due to Russia's full-fledged invasion.
Yeah, and so as part of the program, 2 Ukrainians who returned from Estonia already to Ukraine in March are continuing their rehabilitation at national medical facilities, and they have already received those prosthetics, like from the BGV charity fund, which Nastya was talking about just seconds ago, and the Estonian government as well. And in this context, we should always remember that Estonia is one of the largest actual provider of the military aid to Ukraine, at least in comparison to their GDP and like everything they had. It is just like another example of a country which understands probably like better than some other countries in Europe the risk of invasion, because just a reminder that Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania were actually incorporated by force to the Soviet Union in in 1940. So perhaps actually this is also one of the reasons why Estonia helps so much. Speaking about this case, what is really essential to our soldiers is that all of that is just high-level actually prosthetics. So they are equipped with several moving elements for increased actual physical activity. So they also have a special app, like a mobile app, that makes it possible to switch from like walking activity to other modes. And it ensures high comfort of use and level of motor activity. And approximately like one prosthetic costs around $70,000 at least. And we also post this link about this really fascinating cooperation. Yeah.
And it is very touching for all of us, but we cannot forget that without Russia's war of choice, our soldiers and civilians would not need all that. One way to stop this is to continue to support Ukraine. In order to support Ukraine, the world needs to know about these cases of bravery and resistance. That is why free media is important, and your support makes us more powerful and independent. You can find more episodes of the podcast at rubryka.com or your favorite podcast provider. Solutions from Ukraine, where we discuss problems and issues from Ukraine, and also the people are doing something about them.
Yes, so stay with us and remember to support us at patreon.com/Rubryka. Your support helps us produce more independent podcasting and reporting, which will result in more help for Ukraine to win this hard but important war.